Welcome back, everyone, to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side Podcast. As always, he's Yinka Yusuf.
Hello, people. Good evening.
And I'm Akin Adekeye. Today is June 8th, 2025. And we're recording on a Sunday night, our normal Sunday night. We are back on track, thank God.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yes, I'm back home. I got back last Sunday, so we missed recording last week. But we usually have a lag. We have a lag when we record in person because it takes longer to process. So, but that's everyone's seen that now. So thank you for supporting. But Yinka,
yes, sir.
What's been happening? How are you?
It's Eid in Nigeria.
Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak
to everybody.
Our Muslim brothers and sisters, and to everybody. I always tell people that anybody that doesn't know which one is the ram one doesn't get ram. So people have been scared of asking me, "Is this the ram one? Is this the ram one?"
It is.
Well, yes, this is the ram one. So we had, it was on Friday, but in Nigeria, once a public holiday falls on a Saturday, we get an extra day. So we get an extra day tomorrow.
Nice.
And also, sometimes last week was your birthday, Mr. Akin.
Thursday. Just missed Eid by one day.
By one day. So I killed the ram on your behalf anyway. So
there you go. That's why you're a good friend. That's why you're a good friend.
I killed the ram on your behalf. I give my village, my town people here to rejoice on your behalf.
Because anyway, I'm worth it.
Yeah, because you're worth it.
Thank you, sir.
Happy birthday to you. I've said all the prayers offline. I've told you all the prayers
yes,
already.
You did.
But once again, right? A lot of people don't know this, but this man here is a perfect gentleman. He's a good friend. He's a good brother. He's a good leader.
Good man.
You should have seen the messages popping on our secondary school group. It was deserved. Let me just put it that way.
I appreciate that.
He was our head boy in secondary school, and he's been a leader ever since. And I wish you all the best, brother. All your endeavors. You have so many things in the pipeline. You have so many things in the pipeline, and I pray that everything will be a success. Right? One step
thank you, Yinka.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everything you lay your hands on, your kids, your family, protection will be with you. I'm not about to turn this into a prayer session, guys.
but you can keep them coming. Keep them coming.
This young man deserves all the prayers and much more.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you,
So
Yinka.
hope you had a lovely day, and I wish you a lovely year ahead also.
I appreciate it, brother. It's so funny because every year on my birthday, I get overwhelmed by all the messages, and I know people mean it, and I know it comes from a good place. So that's why I really appreciate it. I think I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm a connector. I try to connect with people, connect people to people, and I'm fortunate that people do appreciate that. I think you and I talked about this before. One of our friends asked, speaking of doing all these things, I'm doing. He asked me how I'm able to do so much, and I told him that pretty much everyone I'm in business with or in some kind of venture with, I met in secondary school, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So when Yinka and I met, it's insane. When Yinka and I met, we were both 10 and a half years old. So for me, those 6 years were formative for me. Yes, I have many good friends I met in uni. I have many good friends I've met at all the 18 million places I've worked. And those relationships are deep too. But I just find that, the deepest relationships I have are with people I met when I met Yinka. So this thing we're doing together, Yinka and I are doing other stuff he and I have worked on before. My
Hmm.
beverage thing, the people I'm working with,
Yeah,
these are all people we went to school with. So
absolutely.
so that's it seems to be my comfort zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So thank you, Yinka. I appreciate it. Amen to all the prayers.
You're welcome, bro. You're welcome,
I got
bro.
a surprise. I got a surprise party at my house yesterday. My family totally
It's you they
surprised
can
me.
surprise. I'm too what's the word? I'm too vigilant to be surprised.
But you know what they did? Is the
Yeah, what?
lies. So my wife leaked half of the surprise. They're like, "Hey, don't do anything on Saturday evening. We're taking you out,
Hmm.
but don't tell the kids that I told you that we're taking you out." Right? So
Okay.
so that just meant I wasn't suspecting anything. Right?
She's smart.
So
She's smart.
so
She's
the
way smarter than you. Way, way
yeah,
smarter than
obviously,
you.
obviously. So they're like, okay, go get ready. We have a reservation and we have to go. And then I'm coming down and there's people in my living room. And then the first two sets of
Wow.
people that came, I saw them the night before. They didn't tell me anything. And then someone else I saw 2 nights before, didn't tell me anything. So all my friends were in on the lies, but I appreciate everyone. It was a
Yeah,
fun
that's cool. That's cool.
fun
That's cool.
45th. Yeah, right. Here's
Fun
to
for the
more
fifth.
45s to come. And Yinka, yours is
Amen.
coming
It's around the corner.
uh 5 weeks from now.
Yep.
Oya
It's
komak
around
with
the
Mimbo
corner.
Danny actually. Oya komak with Mimbo Danny.
Tore.
You know.
But Akin,
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
let's
that's what you should be calling me. All right, let's do this. Yinka, we're gonna
yes,
switch
sir.
our agenda real quick because I think we need to
Hmm.
start with the French Open. Because
Okay.
we just had. Let's start with the men. Let's start with the men. Again, where the men's final just ended maybe an hour ago. We're
Yeah.
recording
One.
at about your 9:20, my 4:20, about an hour
Mm-hmm.
ago. So I'll let you riff on Cena versus Alcaraz. The craziness of it all. The Alcaraz being, two sets down, never come back ever in his career from 2 sets down. Though he had a 12-1 record in 5 setters, but he's never been
Yeah.
down 2 sets and come back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
So the match in itself was just crazy. I think that's the proper adjective to use. Yeah. Sinner straight off the blocks, 6-4, 7-6, first 2 sets. Broke again, I think in the second or third game in the third set. He had 3 championship points, Aki.
Yeah, yeah,
3. And Alcaraz saved the 3 championship points, then broke him again
yeah,
to then take the third set 6-4. The fourth set went into a tiebreaker, which he won. He won, I think, by 7-3 or so. And the last set also then went into a tiebreaker, which, by the way, Alcaraz broke Sinner in the second or third game in the fifth set. So Alcaraz was serving for the championship. Then Sinner broke back at the last game of the fifth set to then make it 5-5. Was it 5-5? Oh, it was 5-5. Then he served 6-5. Then they went
and then
into the
6-6.
tiebreak for the fifth set. Yeah, 6-6. And they went into the tiebreaker. And in the tiebreaker, what's his name? Alcaraz
Yeah,
he blew
he
Sinner
went
away.
7-0 first, and then
7-0.
7-2, and then
Then
9-2,
7-2,
and then he won. Yeah,
9-2. Then he ended 10-2. That was premium tennis on display. If you notice the game, I can't remember how long it eventually lasted, but as at the
I think
fifth
over 5 hours.
set,
Yeah,
it was over 5. It was
yeah,
definitely over 5. But as at the fifth set, when it was over 5, that was the third longest Grand Slam final in history. The other two one was Nadal and Djokovic, and the other one was Nadal and I can't remember who it was. Yeah, but it was Aussie Open and US Open. Those were the other two the two ones that were longer than this. But altogether, this is world number one facing world number two. This is world number two's preferred surface. Alcaraz's preferred surface is on clay. Sinner is a hard court specialist, yeah. But the two of them, they brought their A game. The tennis at times was just, I can, it was like watching Nadal, Federer in those days. You understand? When two of them were in the peak of their powers. I mean, I can't rave enough about how fun it was, right? Because for me, when Alcaraz was broken in the third set, I just switched off. I was like, nah, that's it. I'm not watching it anymore. And I came back to my desk and I saw my iPad. I was like, y'all still playing? I thought the game was over, Then I sat down and I watched the rest of it. It was something else. It was crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so this was the longest French Open final ever. And I think it beat the previous record by almost 50 minutes. So it was a lot. Yeah.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was crazy. 5 hours and 29 minutes.
It was a lot.
So yeah, longest ever in the open era of the French Open, which is crazy. Saving the 3 championship points is insane. I think in the history of Grand Slams, I want to say it was number 3. There was definitely that 2012 one that you talked about, Nadal Djokovic, and then there's another one that it's skipping me right now. That was the second longest before. So yeah. I think this was the third. It may have moved to the second, but we'll have to check it out some other time.
We'll have to double check. Yeah.
So I would say congratulations to both of them. I would say congratulations to us as as people watching and following this stuff, but because that was crazy. We should talk about the women.
Before we move on, I'm happy Djokovic didn't make the finals, right? Same. Because it would have been drab. Right, this was the final we deserved. I'm sorry, and maybe Sinner dispatched Djokovic in straight sets in the semis. I was happy because I was tired of seeing Djokovic play negative tennis. Right now, he's gotten to the point where for him to stay relevant, he needs to continue to play negative tennis. And I call it negative. Guys, bear with me. You get what I mean. Maybe I should say defensive tennis.
I would have called it defensive. Yes, I would have called it defensive tennis,
right? He's waiting for the opponent to make mistakes. So when Sinner puts him to bed, I was happy because I wanted a Sinner Alcaraz final. And those boys delivered.
They did.
They over-delivered. They over-delivered. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out which to do first. Let's do this question before they do the women.
Yeah.
In the Grand Slams, it's a best of 5 for the men and a best of 3 for the women. Fair, unfair? Why are we still doing this? Should they both play best of 5 or should they both play best of 3? Would you rather watch a best of 5 or a best of 3? Is it normal that matches should be going to 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, almost 6 hours?
You want my honest answer?
I do. Yes, that's why I asked.
I like it the way it is. I like it the way it is. It's fun. That's why it's Grand Slam. So you play this kind of tournaments only 4 times a year. All the other, ATP tours, all the other ATP, it's 3 sets, right? It's 3 sets max, right? So it adds to the importance, to the grandness of Grand Slams, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, makes sense.
The only problem, and I guess this is where you're going to, is the disparity or the how do I put it? That
it is
the
a
pay
disparity.
is not commensurate to the effort. Yeah. So I didn't want to say disparity, but you get
it
my
is.
point. The pay is not commensurate to the effort, right? The guys are playing 5 sets, the ladies are playing 3, and they're getting equal money. Yeah. Frankly, big deal. I don't really have a problem with it, because I don't want a situation where you will tell the guys to play 3 sets in the Grand Slam. It just waters down the importance of Grand Slam and turns it into another ATP tournament. And at the same time, if you ask the ladies to play 5 sets, by the end of the year, 50% of them will be injured. Is either they have their ACL is gone or their Achilles is gone. They don't have the tools. Please, people, bear with me. That's the word that comes to my mind for now. They don't have the tools to play 5 sets, to go all the way. They don't. It's not gonna last. It's not even gonna be fun, Akin, at the 3rd set or the 4th set. Let us be frank. It will be tennis that you and I will not want to watch, right? If it's that 3, it's fun, it's heavy hitting. By the time they're playing the 4th set, Akin, ladies that are serving 180, 170, they will start 700. Their first serve will look like their second serve. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. So I don't want them to play 5 sets. But the money disparity is a thing. It looks odd, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine, frankly.
Okay. So you've said a lot, right? So number one, I try not to say someone can't do something. I would say they haven't done it yet, right? So we don't know that the top women cannot play 5 sets. We do know that they do not want to. They've said it. We know because they've said it. So what they actually said, I mean, Venus was at the forefront of this fight for equal pay. Mm-hmm. What they said was, hey, this is the Grand Slam's choice to make the men play 5 sets. No other tournament does it. This is the Grand Slam. In the Olympics, is best of 3.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously Venus did not start the fight for equal pay. Billie Jean King and other people were doing it a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But when Billie Jean started, they were not paying the women. They were paying them in snacks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. And then Venus picked this up. Other people did in between. And, Venus's position at the time was you choose to make the men play a best of 5. Then at that time too, there were no great male rivalries, right? People were literally tuning in to watch the Williams sisters play, right? Mm-hmm. That was where the energy was. But I was never a fan of making these decisions based on TV ratings because those come and go. Shortly after that, we got our big 2 and then our big 3 on the men's side. So these things ebb and flow. I don't really care about popularity and all that. I like what you said is disparity. For me, it's unfairness. What bothers me, the reason I asked this question is the social commentary of it all, right? I've quoted this guy, Michael Eric Dyson, on this show before.
Yeah.
Michael Eric Dyson said, when everything is everything, then nothing is anything, right? And this is what I mean. Nadal said at the time that he said the same thing you said, that the effort was not commensurate with the money or vice versa. And they shouted him down. They called him a misogynist. They called him anti-woman, all of that stuff. And from everything, I don't know who he is in his personal life, but from everything we know, if you think Nadal is your problem as someone who is pro-woman, then you don't know what you're talking about. I consider myself pro. I'm a self-proclaimed feminist. I consider myself very pro-woman. But if you cannot accept Nadal as coming from a good and decent place, he's telling you as someone who has had all those injuries. Okay?
Yeah.
He's telling you as someone who has walked the walk. He had to walk back his comments. If you cannot accept Nadal as an ally in this struggle, then something is wrong. And that's how we got what we have today. The truly toxic men, the Andrew Tates of the world influencing young men today. That's how we got it, because the movement would not accept the Nadals of the world. They call them toxic. They call them anti-women. Now our boys are being raised by Andrew Tate, who is a alleged rapist, who foams at the mouth talking about all this nonsense, who truly hates women, right? That's what you get, because thanks to social media, we've lost all sense of proportionality. There is no middle ground anymore, right? Things are either all bad or all good.
Yeah.
It's either all left or all right. There's nothing in the middle. Nothing is considered. Nothing makes sense anymore. So if you're trying to have a normal, nice conversation, you're just wasting your time. So that is my social commentary. I don't want to go too deep. It makes no sense to me, because we see this thing in front of us and we're still pretending like it's not happening. If the two people we watched today were women, Sinner will be the champion right now. It would have been over.
Yeah.
It would have been 2 sets. We go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, what are we talking about? And at the end of 4 sets, Yinka, it was the exact same thing. 7-6, 6-4, 6-4, 7-6.
Yep.
And then in the 5th set, it was 5-5. So everything was even, Yinka. They had both won a set each, 6-4. It's a set each, 7-6. And in the 5th, it was 5-5. And then it was 6-6. This is insane. There was nothing between them, right? But if they were women, one woman would have gone home with a check after two sets. To me, it feels like we're making this not the same sport, which is my argument for the WNBA. It's not the same sport as the NBA. You cannot say it's the same sport when one plays 82 games, the other plays 42, or however many games they play. All right. So, but we got to talk about the women. Sorry, you were going to say something.
So, but very, very quick point. I think one of the reasons why we got here, or why the women, ended up getting what they asked for, was from a commercial and from a marketing standpoint, right? There was an argument to be made that the draw, right, not the effort now, but from a marketing pool and from a marketing standpoint, it was almost, the men still generated more, but actually the women were quite closer to the men, right? In terms of, how do you guys put it? The eyes that are watching, in terms of the attendance at the stadium, in terms of, for example, yesterday's game between Sabalenka and Coco
Gauff,
right? The stadium was full. Today's game, the stadium was full. So they're saying the customer that is watching doesn't mind paying almost the same amount of money, even in some cases higher, right, to attend a female game. Forget that the men's game lasts longer, right? But we have the same draw. That was their pro argument. Baki, I agree with you. I think effort. I think it's unfair if I'm playing 5 hours, right, and I'm getting the same amount of money as someone that is playing 1 or 2 hours. There is no. It's black and white. That can be argued, But it is what it is.
So, Yinka, because I'm an extreme pro health and safety guy when it comes to sports, I don't like extra games. I don't like beating these athletes up like they're animals or slaves. I wouldn't make the women play 5 sets. I would make the men play 3. This is really what I was trying to say earlier. I would make the men play 3. For me, it doesn't make sense, because my thing is, if we get another Nadal, I want to see him 2 extra years. If we get another Federer, I want to see him 2 extra years. I don't want that accumulation. I don't want them to break down. I don't want to lose Nadal for 6 months because of his knee, because of all the pounding. We've talked about this, how Nadal will always fade before the US, because between after going, clay courts, getting to the final every year, his knees give way. And then he's out in the second round of the US. We literally can see what this does to him. And this was a guy that was dispatching guys relatively early,
Early. But straight sets.
so anyway, it would never happen, but I think it should. And I think we should stop being selfish as a viewing public and stop seeing these guys as gladiators, who are just there for our entertainment. We'll talk about the NFL some other day. But they're humans. They're humans, Yinka. You need to protect them. Health and safety. Okay. Yinka, we said we're going to move quickly. Yesterday, Saturday, Coco Gauff, number 2, beat Aryna Sabalenka, number 1. This is now Coco's second Grand Slam win. Both of them have been against Aryna Sabalenka. Both of
Mm-hmm.
them, she's lost the first set
Mm-hmm.
and come back and won the next two.
Yeah.
I think I can now declare her the absolute best defensive player on the tour. I think Coco Gauff would be.
I
You
agree.
can think about it, but
No,
yeah,
I
I, I,
agree.
I think
I agree.
I,
I agree. No
I,
need to
I
think
think
about
she
it.
would be. What I was most impressed with, and by the way, I did not watch the final, so
I did.
I'll let you give the technical details. I was in a meeting, but what I've been impressed, I've watched that throughout the tournament, has been a mentality. It came to a height for me again against Boisson because this is
The
underdog who had
French
nothing to
outside.
lose.
Yeah.
French woman, 9,057th or whatever in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been, that could mess with you, and
Yeah.
Coco went there and did not let her into the match at all. Right. And then I haven't seen the final yet. I will watch it, but I read the coverage right after. I love The Athletic. That is my
Yeah.
publication.
Mm.
2 minutes after the match, I read what they wrote. It was all about Sabalenka. I was so disappointed. It was all about Sabalenka, 70 unforced errors against 39 winners. Oh, there was the wind, and the French Open didn't close the roof. But thankfully, the people in
That's complete BS, Akin.
of course it is. Of course it is. And
Complete
then,
BS.
but then one of them, it was three people writing the article. So one of them was not like, we need to re-examine the concept of an unforced error. When there's an athlete in front of you and you are making mistakes, that's the person making you make mistakes. It's either the moment is too big for you, or you're trying to outthink yourself or overthink the situation,
Absolutely.
or something the other person is doing is making you move side to side instead of standing still. So there's no
Absolutely.
such thing as an
As on
unforced
first
error.
error.
But okay, Yinka, I'm done. You watched it, I didn't. So give us a quick 2-minute wrap up, and then we can move on.
Yeah. So Coco Gauff, you've said it best. The mentality is top
Mm,
notch. Top notch. And it started even at the semis against Boisson, like you said.
yeah.
Boisson got rid of Pegula and Dreva, number 3 and number 6, right?
Hmm.
The French crowd got under Pegula's skin. They got under Andreva's skin. They did not get under Coco Gauff's skin. All through the game, she actually said every time they were shouting and they were making noise about Boisson, trying to support her, that she was psyching herself up internally,
Mm-hmm.
that she was her own supporter internally. And she dispatched Boyson in straight sets, which I think she lost only 3 games also. It was 6-1, 6-2. Yeah? Then move on to the final. Sabalenka won the first set. She broke early. Then Coco came back 5-5, went into a tiebreaker. She lost the tiebreaker 7-6. Sabalenka took the set. Then the second set, Coco Gauff stomped back. And it was like she was in Sabalenka's head. Going back to your point, Sabalenka was trying to get out of, that tug of war. She wanted early points, going for it, because she realized that's the only way I can beat this girl. I cannot out-hit her. Yes, my strokes are faster and stronger, but this girl just keeps returning everything. And she's returning it with change. It's not just, slice return. She was returning it properly, So she got into Sabalenka's head. Sabalenka lost. The second set 6-2. Then in the final set, the same thing. Like in the last point of the game, right? Sabalenka thought she had a winner. Coco Gauff managed to return the ball. Sabalenka was almost held the ball to stop the play, but the ball actually nicked the line, right? Then she quickly returned the ball, right? Then Coco just went on the offensive and she couldn't. That was how she won. That was how Coco won the last point of the game. But Aki, great game. But what Sabalenka said subsequently is
Speak on it.
what really annoyed me, right?
Mm-hmm.
She said that if Iga Swiatek had won the semis, Iga Swiatek would be the champion right now, because
Why would she say that?
because she didn't believe that Coco beat her. I'm inferring now, right? She didn't believe Coco beat her. She believed she lost to Coco because she didn't play as well as she should have played. And I'm like, why can't you just be gracious and just, and you didn't have to say that. And when they asked Coco Gauff, Coco was like, I played you and I won, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing again. But she showed a lot more maturity than Sabalenka. And we know Sabalenka to be like this. She is a borderline sore loser. Maybe not borderline. She is a sore loser, right? But I didn't like that at all. There was disrespect there. And this is someone that has beaten you in 2 Grand Slam finals. You need to put some respect on her name. You can't say stuff like that. Anyway, I'm happy for Coco Gauff. This is what I demanded from her a long time ago. You need to start putting Grand Slams on the table, right? The near misses, the losing to Pegula, the losing to what's that other US girl name that keeps beating her? Forgotten.
I know who you're talking about.
Come on, you can't do that. You are the best American player, right? So I'm happy for her. Let's keep this up. Let's take this into Wimbledon. Let's take this into the US Open. Her play deserves more Grand Slams, Akin.
So, all right. 2 things, and then we need to move on from tennis. Everyone is bigging up Sabalenka, right?
Mm-hmm.
Inka, how old is Sabalenka?
She's 26 or so.
27.
She's 27.
How old is Coco?
She's 22.
21.
21.
Okay. So, how many Grand Slams does Sabalenka have now, Inka?
I think she has 3 or 4.
She has 3. How many does Coco have now?
Coco has 2 now.
Okay. So there's 6 years between them. They're both elite.
Mm-hmm.
And Coco is only down 1 Grand Slams. Viatek, I don't know how many she has, but she won the last 3 Frenches.
She's ahead of the 2
of them. But she won the last 3 Frenches, right?
Yeah.
And she beat Coco like crazy in 2019, right?
Yes.
So here is what I think I've said it on here before. I will go back to what I said the very first time I watched Coco. I believe she was he 16 or however old she was against Venus Williams. That was the first time I saw her. I did something I try not to do, which is give a hottish take. But when I looked at her, I'm like, her ceiling, I don't know how high her ceiling is. Time will tell.
Yeah.
But her floor was the highest I had seen in a long time. You know why? She doesn't beat herself. She doesn't do the unforced errors. She doesn't spray, balls all over the place. She didn't have the worst of, the Capriatis, the Davenports, the Williams sisters in her. Where on her bad day, you can still bet on her to not beat herself. The opponent still has to do some work on a bad day. Mm-hmm. So that's why I love Coco, right? And then if she could and this is what I was thinking that first day, like, hey, let's see if she can work on this ceiling. Let's see how high she can go. And then for me, when she won the US, I wasn't expecting it. I loved it. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think she was that kind of athlete yet, but she did it. And now she's in the the conversation for top 3 to 5 talents out there, and they'll keep distributing this stuff, injury permitting, mental breakdowns here and there permitting. She will have more Grand Slams than Sharapova. I'm very confident of that. She would not have as many as Serena, but how many people do? And I hope she has as many as Venus. Yeah, I hope she has as many as Venus. So I don't want to put any pressure on Coco. She should live her life, enjoy herself. If Sabalenka can be 27 and think she's queen of the world with only 3 Grand Slams, let my Coco live. Let her live.
Anyway. Fair point. But Sabalenka thinks it's one eager one, she too, and every other person.
That's
she
okay.
Thinks it's herself and eager. Right, but I look at it like you need to put Coco in there. Coco is not you and Iga. It's
that's
you,
okay.
Coco and Iga.
Let her continue to think it's she and Iga while Coco wins 2 more against her but it's okay. I'm not gonna say anything about race, but we know it's always looming.
It's looming.
We know it's always looming, but it is what it is. I wonder
It is
why.
what it is.
She's from Belarus, okay? So I wonder why. I wonder why.
Yeah.
But we're
Anyway,
gonna move on, Yinka. We're gonna move
we'll
on.
move on. Yeah.
Nice conversation. Okay, Yinka, we had an
Yes, sir.
amazing Champions League final. So one, I was coming back from Nigeria. So I watched the second half on the plane. Yinka,
Yes, sir.
were PSG the best team in the Champions League? Were they the best team in the second half of the Champions League? Were they the best team in the knockout stages? Is it all of the above? Are they the best team right now in the world? How do we characterize this PSG team?
I think it's all of the above, right?
Mm.
So in January, right, they strengthened, and like I told you, they won the league the day the league started in the French league. So they didn't even need. I mean, they won the quadruple, didn't they? They won everything this year, yeah. So they didn't have battles at home and battles at away. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It was a cakewalk at home. So it gave them room in the Champions League to actually. It gave them room and it gave them confidence. Yeah. But you can't look at the run they had, Akin, and not give it to them, right? You can't beat Liverpool, beat Villa, beat Arsenal, and win the final 5-0 and still put a question mark on PSG as a team, right? This year, right, I believe that they are or they were the best team in European football. Let's give it to them. I don't have any qualms doing that at all. The game in itself, I thought Inter lost the game way before the game even started. Yeah.
Please say more. Say more.
That Serie A debacle, the penultimate game of the season and the last game of the season, losing the title to Napoli, understanding that their coach had almost already signed a deal. It was already out the door. We didn't know this. I just saw 2 or 3 days ago that he's already signed for Hilal in Saudi. He's gone. Coach is gone. So I'm like, what does that say? It's like people are just like, okay, the season is over. It's done already. I can't wait to get out of here. It's like they had mentally shut down. And for a team, now this is where defensive football is a problem. For a team that wants to soak pressure and go on the counter, you had better soak the pressure properly. Because if you can't counter, then your game is dead, which is what happened to them. Right? Yeah, they had some defensive issues. Bisek didn't start. Achebe's 30 something. You had a midfield three that their average age was like 31 or so because it was Chanalolu, Mkhitaryan, and Barella. Barella I like. Mkhitaryan is a shadow of himself. Chanalolu is also a shadow of himself. So you had Vitinha, Joao Neves, and what's his name? Fabian Ruiz. They were running rings around them in that game. They were running rings around them. And offensively, I don't think Thuram was fit. And who Lautaro Martinez is. He's not a team player. He just pops up and scores. That's what he is. And he's never fit also. He just pop up, score, and that's it. Right? So it was a recipe for disaster from day one. However, what I don't like is people saying Inter didn't deserve to be in the final. I'm like, shut up. Y'all shut up. Right? You can't go through the stages, the group stages, right? Losing, I think they only lost once, I think. Or did they even lose at all? We can check. I'm not sure they lost, right? But they were top 3 in the group stage, right? You knocked out Barcelona. You knocked out Bayern Munich. That's not fluke. They had every right. They deserved to be in the final. The problem was, as at that point in the final, right, it was like a car that is about to break down, and you were just managing, and it got to the main stage, and they just couldn't go further anymore, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Sad for them, but PSG well deserved. Vitinha, Desiree Douy, God, Akin.
Okay.
They played good football. Loved them. major congratulations to them. They deserve it. All right.
Okay, so very layered in my own opinion, right? There's a lot going on here. So number one, both coaches and front offices built a great team for their respective clubs in very, very different ways. So let's start with PSG. PSG lost Mbappe for no money at all. They went deep into their pocket and spent more money, but went young, right? I mean, do it cost them like 50 million euros from Rennes? It wasn't cheap. Yeah, it wasn't cheap, right? And Desiree, it was 80. Okay, so maybe there was add-ons or whatever, right? But
no, I said Desiree was 80.
Oh, Kvaratskhelia, yes. Yeah. So I mean, they went deep into their pocket and spent a lot of money, and this is after not getting anything back for everything they spent on Mbappe, right?
Yeah.
Donnarumma, how much they've spent on him is the cost of some squads in Ligue 1. Their goalkeeper, right? Their goalkeeper, if you tabulate all his wages, over the last few years, he could have built a squad in Ligue 1, right? Absolutely. So taking the money apart, taking the sovereign wealth fund of it all apart, taking the sports washing of it all apart.
Yeah,
they did an amazing thing, which is transition from a super duper star, or more like a collection of super duper stars, to a collection of stars in the making, because all these players are fantastic, right? But a collection of stars in the making who run, who fight, who defend together, who attack together, right? So you can name check their defenders and say, hey, these are not the greatest defenders in the world, but they're committed, they're athletic, they're smart, right? And they attack in droves and defend in droves, right? So that's PSG. On the Inter front, you had a coach and a front office that did not have money, but went ahead and built the deepest team in Europe anyway, with no money at all, right? Some of the players you were mentioning, Yinka, they got for £1 million.
Yep.
Some of these players. There's no single player on there that I can remember that they spent a ton of money on. Lukaku is no longer there.
Yeah.
Right? So if there's gonna be any money, it will be coming into Inter, not leaving Inter's coffers. So they built a deep squad that can play a certain way, but the problem is they were losing their defensive identity. We saw it happening. We talked about it. Bayern should have scored, could have scored, could have knocked them out, but they held it together.
Yeah.
Barca should have scored, did score, but again, they held it together. But you shouldn't be conceding 6 goals over 2 legs in the semifinals and call yourself a defensive team. That was the big problem for me with Inter. So congratulations to them. Now they got a real rebuild. They got to rethink that, is it time to sell Lautaro? He's always injured. He's their leader.
It's time to shut everything down, Aki.
Yeah, they need to figure it out.
And there's something looming. I read recently that they are under investigation for financial fraud, kind of, right?
Yeah, it's Syria.
It's Syria. So they said there's a £300 million hole that they kind of plugged, and they are currently under investigation. The average age of their team is 30 years old.
Yeah.
Right? That needs to change. So
does.
Good luck to them. But please, guys, stop saying that Inter don't deserve to be in that final. They were one of them. They were one of the better teams this year. They deserve to be in that final.
I know who you're talking about.
They know
which one of our friends
they'll take their sub.
Okay. Yinka, let's move quickly to the Ballon d'Or, your least favorite thing to talk about in sports. Yep. There are 3 candidates. There are 3 top candidates. That list has been released, right?
I don't even know.
Okay, but we can still talk about who we think are the 3 top candidates.
I'm asking you. So who are your Who do you think are your top three top candidates?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it matters what I think. It will be Lamine Yamal. It will be Ousmane Dembele,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll find someone else from PSG to throw in there. That's what they always do. It should be Salah. Salah will be on mine. I don't think Salah will make it to the podium the
Yeah.
way they think about these things, and it will be very unfortunate, in my opinion. I honestly, I still think Salah had a better season than Lamine Yamal. I think Salah had a better season than Ousmane Dembele. But these guys like going for the flashy thing. I think Lamine will have plenty of time to score more goals and wow us and win awards. I think doing what Salah just did as the absolute most dangerous man in England, possibly in any of the top 5 leagues at 32, and dragging his team. He's the reason they won the league. It's not even close. It's not anybody else. It's the reason they won the league. With a misfiring, there's a misfiring contingent, rotating contingent on number 9. Yinka, I posted something in our group, right, this past week where they said Arsenal's conversion rate was higher than Liverpool's conversion rate, right? Where Liverpool, got their almost 20 plus goals or 20 more goals than Arsenal was in chances created. That wasn't their midfield. That was Mo Salah doing all the creating, doing all the scoring. For me, he was the best player in the top 5 leagues. He should win the Ballon d'Or. What's yours?
Okay, so newsflash: Salah is not going to win it.
I know. It should, but it won't.
Because we know the way these people think. Yeah. But also at times they kind of switch the way they think to fit in a particular agenda. And I can tell you, earlier in the year, there was a Raphinha campaign going on, Ballon D'Or, Ballon D'Or. Then all of a sudden, it switched to Lamine Yamal. And I was like, all along, Lamine Yamal was having a better season than Raphinha.
You said it. You said it.
I said it. But because the numbers, the guys who scored in the Champions League, the guys, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, guys, stop, right? Now, in my opinion, I'm the campaigner for the non-striking role winning this tournament or winning Ballon d'Or, right? In my opinion, the best player in the Champions League this season was Vitinha.
I know. I agree.
The Liverpool match, the Arsenal match, that final, Akin, that is midfield display at its peak. Hardly put any foot wrong, controlled the tempo. He was superb. Maybe because I used to play midfield in school. I know, or when I was younger, I know what this guy is doing. And, it's not easy. It's not easy. And he's very petite and short like that.
Tiny.
And he's running the whole team. So for me, if PSG won everything winnable in Europe, Vitinha, in my opinion, is their best player, not Dembele. Yeah? That's me. I don't know what the scores, the Nations Cup final, or what do you call it? The UEFA.
Nations
I know
League.
the way these people think. Nations League final is going on right now. It's Portugal to Spain to in extra time.
I don't care.
If Portugal by chance win this
stuff,
I'm telling you, Akin, the agenda for Lamine Yamal winning was dependent on this game. If Spain wins this, they will say it's Lamine Yamal. I know the way these guys think. But in my opinion, Lamine had a good season. But you have a good season individually, and your club also has a successful season. The most successful team in Europe this year is PSG. Forget that they're playing in the French league. Forget you're calling it Farmers League. Forget all that. They're the most successful team in Europe. So you need to give it to them. I think Vitinha should win. But on my short list, it will be Yamal. It will be Salah. I will even put Raphinha there. I'll have Vitinha there. And that's it. I think those are the 4 that I believe should be on the list.
No Dembele.
Add Dembele to it just to make it 5.
So top 5. Okay. All right. No, it's a good top 5. It's a good top 5.
But I think Vitinha should win it.
Okay.
But I know they'll do something else.
All right, Inka, let's move on.
Yes, sir. Let's move on.
Our favorite manager in world football, Ange Postecoglou, was fired by our favorite team in world football, Tottenham Hotspur. I think I gave up on humans. The little faith I had in humans, I've lost with this Man U 15th versus 16th at the time versus Spurs 17, and people celebrating. We got in a final, we won a cup, not understanding the Champions League expanded and the losers in the Champions League then dropped down to the Europa. So the Europa is decidedly a more inferior cup now than it's been in the last decade. Right? No, but that's the truth, because it's been almost 10 years now that you've been dropping the third place team into the Europa.
I totally agree with you. You know, we're on the same. You're preaching to the choir here.
The lack of nuance is doing my head in. You know, and this whole, there's only 4 cups you can win. In England alone, there's literally a top 6. So you're telling me that Madrid had a disastrous season, they need to blow everything up and fire everybody. You can't, it's crazy. We will get to, the Spanish league. We will talk about the Spanish league. But Yinka,
yeah,
I think firing Ange was the right thing to do, not because of this season, although I would have done it because of this season. You cannot be Spurs and come 17th. You cannot come 17th. No, you can't do that. So I would have fired him. I don't care that he won a teacup. Doesn't matter to me. He has no clue. I would have fired him 2 seasons ago when he had that game against Chelsea, where he kept playing that highlight. That suicidal game. That's when he should have been fired. What's your take?
See, we're in the same camp here, and let me just bring people into the world of managing a business, right? And being a club owner. Luckily, you and I, we are one. Aki, as an owner, what you're interested in is what? My club should be successful financially. The hierarchy in Spurs right now, they're thinking we need to be successful financially, right? It's not about trophies. It's for a business. You're running a business. You can't win an Europa League that's fetching you $5 million prize money and missing out on Champions League.
It's way more than that. Stop it. It's way more than that.
I actually Googled it. Hold on a second. The prize money for Europa League, the winner will receive 8.6 million euros.
Maybe for the final, okay. But for the whole season, they get more than that. Spurs will get more than that, but keep going.
Keep going. But you get what I'm trying to say, right? Getting into the Champions League will give you double digits, right? Millions of pounds. That money is missing, is money they've budgeted for, right? And you did not deliver that financially. Something has to give. Right? Because forget after all the celebration that the fans have done, the owners will sit down and say, okay, so where are we in terms of budget? Yeah. The team, what you do on the pitch should translate into Pepe at the end of the day. If it doesn't, you're wasting your time. The sooner fans realize this, the better. The sooner they realize this, the better. Yeah. So the club is saying, I don't like the trajectory of this team. We can't play Tuesday, Wednesday next week, play in the Premier League next week with this coach in charge. We're dead, more or less. That's what they're saying. So, in my opinion, he should have been fired a long time ago. He should have been fired a long time ago. Yeah? But it's a win-win situation for everybody. He has maintained this. I win a trophy. What is this again? I win a trophy every second year or whatever. He has maintained that.
This was third, but okay.
Yeah, this was third. He'll get a good job. He'll get a good job. The Spurs hierarchy will get. I'm going to the next question, which is who should replace. I heard they're going after Thomas Frank of Brentford.
I like him.
But I like him, but once again, see, you need to be careful. Brentford's manager is the kind of manager he's an underdog manager. I don't believe Spurs are an underdog club. If you get what I mean. Am I making sense?
No, you are. I get it.
So I'm not sure if he'll be a good fit. I wish him good luck, right? But Spurs firing the manager, I'm surprised that their fans are like, how can you fire somebody that won us? I'm like, won you what? What?
So
Team World Cup?
You can't remember.
Anyway,
remember what I said. It's the polarization in politics, in society, in sports. Everything is either left or right. It's either right or wrong. And it's social media. So you cannot see a cup for what it is. A terrible season that was salvaged some by a cup win. Instead, the cup win became the story, and you forget the 38 games you played, wherein you lost 21 times out of 38 games. You lost 21 times. 21 times. Liverpool was winning championships with 2 losses, with 3 losses. You lost 7 more, times 7 more times. Okay, Yinka, let me clear up something real quick. According to AI over here, Google AI, Tottenham earned 35.4 million from their Europa League campaign, plus an additional 28. This is dollars, by the way, dollars, not pounds. Plus an additional $28.1 million for qualifying for the Champions League, which is a joke, but let's move on. They also received bonus payments for each match day revenue and a cut of the broadcaster revenue. The total windfall for Tottenham from the Europa League win and the Champions League qualification is estimated at $130 million. So, I knew it wasn't 8 million. Maybe 8 million was for the final. I don't know. But anyway, so I think it should have gone 2 years ago. I wish Thomas Frank well. I don't really care who coaches them. They've had Mourinho, didn't do anything. They've had Conte, didn't do anything. They've had Pochettino, he ran away. Don't think it matters. Okay.
Anyway.
Yinka,
yes, sir.
We did EPL review last episode when we were in person, and we did a team of the season.
Yes, sir.
One of our impatient friends and sometime co-host and Ro accused us of neglecting La Liga. We never intended to neglect La Liga. We were going to roll it out, next episode, which is this episode.
Yeah.
So this is the next thing on the agenda. Let's do our quick team of the season for La Liga. But let's just remind everyone, Barcelona won. It was tight for a little bit. Eventually it wasn't that tight.
Yeah.
I feel like Real did not have a great season, but they were still comfortably second. So I don't know what that says about La Liga, but it is what it is. So Yinka, the last time we did this, I went first. So I think you should go first this time. Give us your team of the season and crown a player of the season. Go.
Okay. So there are only 5 teams in La Liga. So
oh my God, you're terrible. Who are your 5 teams in La Liga? You know what? Go for it. Who are your 5?
Okay, let's make it 6. Yeah. So it's Barca, Madrid, Atletico, Bilbao, Villarreal, Real Betis, and Celta Vigo. Every other team is irrelevant in this discussion.
You mean this season?
I mean this season.
Okay.
I mean the past season.
Okay.
That's what
because there are big clubs you didn't talk about. Valencia is a big club. Sevilla is a big club. Okay.
But there's nobody in there that deserves a mention in the team of the season. No one.
That's for
in any of those teams.
That's aggressive, but okay, go on.
No. So I'm very, very serious, right? Okay, so let me just go with my team, right? The only person out of the top 6 or top 7 that's in my team is the goalkeeper, and that is Juan Garcia from Espanyol. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure some Arsenal fans will know about this young man because he was
Yeah.
almost an Arsenal player last year.
Okay.
But this year is definitely going to Barca. And the only reason why is because he was undoubtedly the best goalkeeper in La Liga last season. Right? Espanyol are languishing somewhere down 14th in the table. But this young man was their standout player. It was so standout that his profile exceeded being a backup keeper for any other person. That's
Yeah.
exactly why he's not coming. He's not coming to Arsenal. You can be contesting for the Spanish number one and go and be the backup for a Spanish number two outside of Spain, if you get what I mean, right? So Yan Garcia is my goalkeeper of the season in La Liga. So that's one. So number two, my back four is I'm surprised I'm saying this, but he had a fantastic season. So my right back will be Jules Koundé.
Okay.
Baka, right back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Originally a centre back. He's moved into right back and is looking more like, a proper right back as time goes by. He's solid defensively. He barely put a foot wrong. And is beginning to show some offensive side to his game that we didn't see before. So right back for me will be Koundé. Yeah. Centre back pairing will be Vivian of Atletico Bilbao, the Spanish international. Atletico
Yep.
they considered the least goal in La Liga this season, and is largely due
Yeah.
to this guy. Solid defender, towering. It looks like an English defender, if you get what I mean, but can also play
Yeah.
the
Yeah. It
ball,
does.
can play to foot. Good player. So he makes the team as my first centre back. Is
Okay.
centre back pairing. This is where I was torn between the young man at Madrid, Asensio, and the young man at Barcelona, Kubasi. Yeah. The two of them, they really, 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 really surprised me this season. By the end of the day, I'm giving it to Kubasi. I mean, the,
Okay.
the, the young man was just something else. It was something else. Didn't look like a 19-year-old, played beyond his age, solid player. It gets the second centre back slot for me. At left
Okay.
back, I'm going to Celta Vigo, a Spanish international, Oscar Mingueza. He actually started first
Okay.
playing today in their
Yeah.
match in the Portugal game. Mingueza can play right back, can play left
Okay.
back. He had the highest goals contribution for any defender in La Liga, right? It's solid defensively, superb going forward. So Mingueza gets the left back spot. And that's my
Okay.
back four. So that's Koundé, Vivian, Kubasi, and Mingueza. In
Okay.
midfield, I'm going with definitely Pedri. Yeah.
Okay.
Game management, tempo management, calmness. He has it all. Yeah. Injury kind of, stunted him a bit, but young man is elite, is a super player. So Pedri in midfield.
Okay.
The second slot in midfield goes to Isco, Real Betis. Real
Okay.
Betis qualified for the Champions League or Europa, I'm not sure, right? But they also made the finals of the Conference League. And this is largely due to Isco's phenomenal play. Yeah, he still has it. And maybe the legs are not there as much, but the
Yeah.
skill, the brains, it's there. He had a superb season. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Pedri, Isco in midfield.
Betis qualified for the Europa. Okay.
Europa. Yeah, they qualify for the Europa.
Yeah.
Then the last slot in midfield goes to another Spanish international, Alex Baena of Villarreal. Villarreal qualified for the Champions League. All right. I watched quite a lot of Villarreal games. Himself, Arsenal reject Nicolas Pepe. Himself, and there's another Senegalese boy, Barry. The three of them, they were superb for Villarreal, right? What Baena is the top player for them. He's number 3 on the assist league in La Liga, and his goals and assist contribution is the only 2 people that are ahead of him. No, 3 people that are ahead of him, and that will be Lamine Yamal. No, 4 people ahead of him. Sorry, so Lamine Yamal, Mbappe, Lewandowski, and Raphinha. So Baena gets my last slot in midfield. Small guy, fleet-footed, super player. Love him. So that's my midfield 3. Then up front, the 3 up front, I mean, I'll be surprised if you don't have these 3 also. It will be Mr. Yamal, Mr. Raphinha, and Mr. Mbappe. That's the 3 up front, right? Lamine Yamal, I don't need to. We've waxed lyrical about this guy for forever, right? I don't think I've seen a 17-year-old this refined, this good. Fantastic player. Raphinha, fantastic season. Highest goal, contributions in Champions League. At the beginning of the season, when Lamine was still kind of, shaky, he was firing on all cylinders, right? But he ended up, I think he ended up slightly below Lamine Yamal, in my own view, in terms of who is more important to Barcelona. But he makes my team of the season, and of course, you can't argue with 31 goals up front for Kylian Mbappe. So Mbappe, Lamine Yamal, and Raphinha, those are the 3 strikers in my La Liga team of the season. That's my list, Aki.
Okay, it's a really good list. I tried not to cheat this time.
Okay.
I came very close to cheating many times. So let me just go through and I'll explain.
You?
So, I know. So one, I love Joan. What'd you say?
I said, what do you have?
Okay, so I love Joan Garcia. I also think there was a better goalkeeper in La Liga, and I'm biased. Okay. I think Jan Oblak is my guy. It might be nostalgia. It might just be because I love the guy. It might be the way the team plays. But that's who I had. Garcia will be a close second for me. But it's Oblak for me.
Okay, fair enough.
I was shocked at your Kunde, and I was very close because I know you were never really, really, really a fan of him defensively. I was shocked, but you're trying to be objective. Credit where it's due. Kunde was not my right back, even though I've always liked him. I went with Andre Raciu from Rayo Vallecano, who I believe is Romanian.
Yes, so
he was my right back. And again, I love Kunde, but I think just from a purely defensive, it leaves some things to be desired. We finally have an agreement on one centre back. Danny Vivian from Athletic. We agree on that. He gets one of the centre back spots for me. I love Kubasi.
Yes.
I call him Kubaresi. That's not original. The guy from ESPN calls him Kubaresi. I also call him Kubaresi. Yes. There's a theme here. For some reason, I'm not going with the young kids. I'm going with the gritty veterans. I'm going with Inigo Martinez, which is going to blow your mind. I know, because you're not a big fan. I know. So is Barcelona, I know. Is Barcelona, center back mate. And I'll tell you what it is. This is a team that doesn't really care about defense. I'm looking at who strikes fear in you like Rudiger does, right? And I think it's Martinez over Kubasi just for this season. Kubasi will have a great future ahead of him. So just for this season, Inigo Martinez is my guy.
We'll leave that to Enro to decide who should make the choice between Kubasi and Martinez.
Anyway. he can be the tiebreaker. We come back to agreement on the left back. I also have Mingueza from Celta Vigo. So we agree on that. And then the 3, it's funny, when I saw your midfield 3, I'm like, there's no holding mid. There's no traditional holding mid among these 3. But it's La Liga. You don't need one. They let you play. They let you play La Liga. So And I can't believe this, but my midfield three is exactly the same. It's Pedri, it's Isco, and Alex Baena. So it's the
Yeah,
same. It's the
they,
same. Yeah,
they were the best.
yeah,
They were the best.
yeah. I
Bubbling on
think they
that,
were.
you can have Valverde, Zubimendi, worthy mentions, but nah. This season,
So
no.
yeah, Valverde was my next. So he was the first to drop out for me. Yeah, Valverde. And again, it's
Oh,
not
okay.
because of anything special he did, but just that without him, the team falls apart. Right. And I was even trying to,
Yeah.
again, when I was trying to cheat, I thought about putting Raphinha in midfield, but I'm like, let me stop overthinking this. I'm like, he's not really a midfielder. Um,
Yeah.
on the right wing, Lamine Yamal.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's nothing left to
There's
say
nothing
that
more to
hasn't
say
been
about Lamine
said.
Yamal. Yeah.
On the left wing, Raphinha.
Yep.
I did not want to put Mbappe. I
You
had
can't
to.
argue with 31 goals.
I had to because for me, yes, he had a historic season as a debut season, 31 goals. But for me, it didn't feel like a leader. They felt like empty calories, if that makes sense. Can you score 31 empty calorie goals? He did, in a sense. I think because I just expect so much more from him. I saw more leadership in Bellingham's first season than I saw in
Mm.
Mbappe's first season. So
Mm.
I struggled. I wanted to make it Lewandowski, but then Lewandowski missed games at the end. So I'm like, you know what? Let me not be petty because Lewandowski scored 27 times. He
Yeah.
scored 27
Yeah.
times. Just being real.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I begrudgingly said Mbappe, even though I think he needs to do a lot better. He could score fewer goals. Doesn't have to score that many, but he needs to be more impactful and bring more people into play and just be more of a beast without
Yeah.
necessarily scoring more goals. So that's my team. So it's Oblak, Rachiu, right back, Vivian and Martinez, center back, Mingueza, left back, midfield trio of Pedri, Isco, and Baina, and then Lamine Yamal, Mbappe, Raphinha. So
So we only
I
have
think,
three. We have three that are different. The goalkeeper,
yeah, right
Kunde, right
back,
goalkeeper, right back, and centre back.
one
One of the
center back.
centre back.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad. Last week
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
we had 7 common. Now we have 8. It's not bad.
And
Okay,
we have eight.
that was
So we'll
fun.
let Enro decide. We'll let Enro
Yes.
decide who should be in there between Kubasi and Inigo Martinez. But
Yeah, yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what he says.
yeah,
And for him
absolutely.
to generally just rate because he's the Spanish, Spanish
Experts.
guy, expert,
Expert.
as you say, Spanish expert.
All right.
Anyway,
Inka, let's move on quickly to our worthy mentions.
player of the season,
One
player of the season.
Oh,
Before we move
sorry,
on,
sorry. My bad, my
so
bad.
who's
Player
the
of the
player of the
season
season?
for me. For me, I would say Lamine Yamal. Who's yours?
Lamine Yamal is
Okay,
Lamine. Yeah, it
okay,
has to be.
okay.
Close second will be Raphinha. Then
Yeah.
third for me would actually be, yeah, maybe not somebody on this list, frankly, or maybe Isco.
How
Maybe
how
Isco.
did they not make the list then? If they,
No, maybe Isco. Maybe
yeah,
Isco. Yeah.
yeah, I can
Anyway,
see that. I
yeah.
can see that. Okay,
Cool.
so worthy mentions. A
Yes, sir.
certain Thierry Henry uh,
Mm-hmm.
made an appearance on the overlap, which I believe is
Mm-hmm.
like the combination of the uh, righty, Ian Wright, and I always forget this guy's name, the captain of
Roy
Man U,
Keane.
and Roy Keane, yeah. And
Roy
then on,
Keane.
on the other side, you have the
Amy
two,
Carragher.
yeah,
Carragher and Neville and
and
Gary Neville.
Gary Neville. So I think they have individual, podcast, and then sometimes they do stuff together. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I watched the whole thing. Actually, it was really good, right? Henry is a thoughtful, extremely smart commentator and thinker of the game. So they asked him how Arteta was doing, and he pretty much, paraphrasing said, it's time to win trophies, right? But again, Henry's a fan, right? He was speaking like a fan, right? So he said, it's time to win trophies. Man U has been in 5 finals and won 2 in the last however many years that they've not been good at all. So I think it's talking about that whole, championship mentality, So just in general, what's your take, Yinka? Henry out of line, make sense, don't make sense, what?
Yeah. So Henri said a lot of great things in that episode. If you've not watched it,
Yeah.
guys, go watch it. It was nice. Except for this particular point, which I kind
Mm,
of felt like you should know better, right? And not the whole thing. It was one particular thing he said. It was like, even the Man U that you guys are mocking, they've been to 5 finals. And I'm like, is it now about going to finals
mm,
that is the yardstick for measuring success? Yeah. Um, I would have thought that is not what it doesn't really matter, right? The objective, and I say this, I've said this when I'll keep saying it again. The objective is you need to compete for the things that matter. I don't want to
mm.
compete for things that don't matter, right? Just for competing sake, right? And you remember when someone shared the video, I think it was you on the group, I said,
Yeah.
let's just be careful here, right? Whenever it comes to Henri and Arteta, I personally believe there is a hint of jealousy here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever Henri says, Henri's dream job is he wants to manage Arsenal, right?
You said so.
He
Yeah.
doesn't even need to say it. We all know, yeah. So he struggles to give. He struggles to see. Let me say, maybe struggle is not the proper word, but at times he chooses not to see the good side or whatever is happening within the coaching scene at Arsenal, right? We've seen it before Arteta, so this is not an Arteta thing. We've seen it with Emery, yeah, even before this Arteta incident, yeah. So I just thought that particular comment was a bit out of line and unnecessary, and you're fueling the fire of the opposing fans, right? And some crazy Arsenal fans that all they care about is they want your team to just be in the final, even if it is
Yeah.
Conference League, even if it is Carabao Cup. That's not. We say we want standards. Standards, in my opinion, is we're competing for EPL, we're competing for Champions League. I don't care about any other thing. FA Cup, we've won FA Cup 13 or 14 times.
More than anyone
There's no
else.
more than anyone else. Thank you. More than anyone else. So it is not, that's not your priority. It should not be your priority. Carabao Cup is a team fault cup. It is as irrelevant as the Community Shield. Yeah? So if your club is competing for the EPL and the Champions League, I believe that is what I want, right? And it's not anybody's birthright to win anything. Yeah. It took City how many years before they won one, despite all the money they spent? It took PSG how long, despite all the money they spent? You see what I'm saying? So this mentality of get to finals, get to finals and do what? Yeah. And I kind of believe Henri was a bit whatever about that, because if you ask him what has he won, he will also say, I got into an Olympic final. That's the only thing he has to show for it. So you believe, you get what I'm trying to say? He's trying to say, okay, getting to the final is okay, but you don't necessarily. No. That's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. So I thought those comments
Okay.
were out of pocket. Out of pocket, not necessary. You didn't necessarily have to say it. But I love this Jackson 5 analogy about when he
Yeah.
was at back and stuff.
That was good.
It's a good episode. Y'all should check it
Yeah.
out.
He's a
I
smart guy.
love
He's a
the smart guy. The smart guy. But
Yeah,
that
he's a,
was
he's
that
a
was
very
out of
smart
pocket.
guy. Yeah. I'll leave it exactly where you left it. Nothing more to add. It
Mm.
is what it is. We move. I've already trashed this thing to death. I'm not gonna be like, I have 1,000,000% faith in any human. But I respect work. Arteta is a worker. I don't blame him for deficiencies in recruiting because we've seen this before him. This is what Arsenal does. This goes to the owners. This goes to the Crunkies. This is what they do. So for me, there's very few coaches in world football that are improving players on the pitch more than Arteta. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. He gets in his own way. He overthinks things, but so does Simeone. So does Pep.
So does everyone.
So does everyone, right? And sometimes it doesn't see the good in players. That is obvious to everybody, right? But for me, the answer is not just get me anybody, just buy any mediocre player. No, that is not the answer. That is not the answer. I know this is not part of the question, but again, I will continue to be the lone voice screaming like a madman in the wilderness, saying, I do not believe in this Arsenal need a striker thing. I do not believe in it. Objectively, it's not accurate. I posted something in the group that our Man U friends were like, haha, cuckoo, haha-ing over. And it's the season before Holland came to City.
Yeah.
And the season, his first season at City. The season before with an aging, what was his name? Kun Aguero, right? They scored, what was it, over 100 goals?
Yeah.
They won the league. The season Holland got there, they won the league, but they scored way fewer goals. But he scored half of what they scored.
He scored half of what they scored, exactly.
You know what I mean? So for me, I would love, just because I love to watch strikers. If you give me any great striker, I would love it. But Arsenal can win the title without a striker. Bukayo Saka needs to get better. He was on his way. He still finished as Arsenal's G+A leader in the league this season, even though he was out for however many. So he was on track to break Henry's 20 assists record. That's what Arsenal needs to do. And even those who want to improve the left side of Arsenal's attack, have they seen the goals and assists of Nico Williams? Aren't they less than Martinelli's? In a league that Yinka Yusuf thinks is inferior? And he's not young. He's not Lamine Yamal. He's 5 years older than Lamine Yamal. He's the same age as Martinelli. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm sorry, but Bobby Perez is not walking through that door.
Akin, you're preaching to the choir, right?
I know.
That's all I'm going to tell you, right?
I know.
It's the style of play. People come to the Emirates, they lock up, right?
Yeah.
Come to the Emirates, you lock up. You need to unlock them. What you need to look out for is, if Saka is injured, proper deputy for Saka. If Martinelli is injured, proper deputy for Martinelli. I've told you this. Arsenal's strength, Arsenal's success or failure is dependent on the success or the failure of their wingers, right? Because every time you reprocess the ball, it ends up at either Saka's foot or Martinelli's foot. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's the way we play. Unless you're saying, get rid of the coach, let's get a new style of play. If that's what y'all want, I don't have a problem with that. Arteta is not my brother. We're not related. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that, right? I want Arsenal Football Club to succeed. But if we're keeping the coach with this current style of play, which we have seen, maybe not consistently enough, but I think we've seen that we can be. I mean, you've been second twice, so you're not that far off. You know what I mean? So just get better with. We've been second 3 times now, yeah. So you're not that far off, right? All you just need to do is get a bigger, better squad. Simple. It's as simple as that. Anyway, Akin, let's move on.
So let's move on. Transfer rumors. All right.
Yes,
so Yinka, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Just go through the list and do no more than 30 seconds on each one of them.
Yeah. So City are after Tijani Reijnders and Ryan Cherki. Tijani Reijnders, AC Milan, Ryan Cherki, Lyon. Cherki is is another Savinho, is another Riyad Mahrez. Reijnders is a fantastic midfielder. I actually like Reijnders. AC Milan are out of Champions League. I believe they need money. They're going to sell a lot of their players. I'm just surprised where City is getting the money and the confidence to spend this money from. This 115 charges, I can, like I say, we could just forget them, because at this
Yeah,
point, I think it's gone.
it's the
I
Donald
don't think
Trump
it's a problem.
strategy. Is they're flooding the zone? Is the Donald Trump strategy? Flood the zone, overwhelm they have more money than everybody. Overwhelm everybody.
Yeah,
Everyone will forget about it and just move on. Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, so moving on to Liverpool, Wirtz, it's still in the works. Arguments going back and forth. Wirtz played earlier on this afternoon for Germany, so we'll still see how that goes. But I think Liverpool will eventually get their man. Frimpong already confirmed. Cunha already confirmed. Rodrygo. We got some reports again that Rodrygo to Arsenal is on again.
yeah,
We got word that Gyokeres is now the second option. Sesko is the number one option, which Arsenal fans went into total meltdown for a player that has not even kicked the ball for them, which is madness on its own. Then also during the week, we got word that Arsenal is interested in a 17-year-old Greek boy that plays in the Belgian league. I've seen the boy play before. He's a fine player. He's a one-area type
it's
profile,
small.
small, fleet-footed. Is left-legged also. Is the amount that I heard that I'm like, no, Arsenal is not going
45
to
million pounds or
euros euros on this young man. Nah, it's not going to happen. So that's for Arsenal. Okay, quick one before we move on. Osimhen, despite the fantastic season he had in Turkey, nobody is still coming in from him except Hilal, which I don't know what to say at this point. Last time we said
Yeah,
all he needed to do was prove to everybody that he can
yeah,
deliver, right? There is no way Gyokeres is getting more heat than Osimhen. Yeah, the leagues
yeah.
they play in are quite similar. And Osimhen, Gyokeres is on penalties. Osimhen is not on penalties in Gala. Osimhen scored more open play goals than all these people that everybody's after. So for
Yeah.
only Hilal to be after him, it seems as if Europe has blackballed this young boy. Yeah,
It's
and
possible.
that's the way it seems to me, because I
Yeah.
don't get it anymore.
So I would say it's not the end of the world. We've seen older, inferior players go to Saudi for a year or two and
And
come back
exactly,
to
and come
different
back.
leagues, to different better leagues.
Yeah, yeah.
Osimhen is still 25 or 26. Do it. Take the money.
26 or 27. Yeah,
Okay, so I'm sure he made money at Galatasaray, not Saudi money, but Turkey pays well for, the top
yeah.
15, 20 players. So I'm sure he made money. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure he didn't lose money from his Italian
Mm,
contract. So I would go
yeah.
bank your money, bank your tax-free money, be set for life, keep yourself fit, score 30
Mm-hmm.
plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yinka, even Tony is back in the England squad. That is crazy to me. So if
Yeah.
even Tony can go to Saudi and get back in England, you told me Henderson, because I'm never going to watch any of these unnecessary games. You told me
Henderson played for
Henderson
England.
was back. He's the same guy who went
Yeah.
to Saudi and came back. So I'm not,
Yep.
I don't think he shouldn't be worried, is all I'm saying. We can talk about
Yeah.
it, but he shouldn't be worried. Your life is fantastic.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Wherever you go, you're going to play for the next 5-6 years at the highest level. So you go do what
Yeah.
you need to do. Next AFCON,
Yeah.
kill it. Next World Cup, kill it.
Yeah.
Because that's the next task for me, is can you become a legend in the Nigerian context? Elevate
Spot
your
on.
Super Eagles teammates. Yeah. Elevate. Don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about the noise. And please stop yelling at referees. Stop barking at teammates who don't pass to you. I don't know if you saw the clip in the last couple weeks. Like, you don't need all that. You don't need, like, this man. If you ever hear him on podcast or whatever, he's a very thoughtful guy. I wasn't a fan because of all his theatrics, but then when I see him, he's a very thoughtful, well-spoken guy. Like, just be that guy all the time. Like, just be that guy all the time. That's who you really are. Don't yell at coaches. Don't do any of that. Just be that guy.
Akin, funny enough, what you said, is actually very true. So my brother, him.
Yeah.
He knows Osimhen very well. When Osimhen sees him, he calls him Brother Abdul. Respectful to him. And he just tells me the guy is a nice guy. So outside of the pitch, outside of football, why can't he just replicate that same personality that you have? Just replicate it on the pitch, And you mentioned youth. You have a very, very, very good point around wherever you play, you will still be relevant to the Super Eagles.
Absolutely.
That number 9 shirt is yours unless your leg break or you say play. You will be Super Eagles starting 9. Go bank your money. You are a young boy from the trenches of Lagos that you were hawking in Oregon, right? Remember that and go sort yourself. Forget all this. I have to play. Mikel Obi came out and said that he's done all he has to do. Now it's up to the club. He doesn't know what Chelsea is doing. That he has done all the background work that he can do. Ali Hilal are basically waiting on Victor Osimhen to say, dude, just green light. Because Napoli has accepted the fee. The agent has agreed. Everything is agreed. It's just for Victor to say, you know what, let's go. That's what's left. But he's waiting for an European club to come for him. And I'm like, anyway. And
why wouldn't a Spurs? Spurs are in the Champions League that they shouldn't be in. Why wouldn't they go get him? It would be their best striker on day one. It would be their best striker on day one. You know what I'm saying?
God. Yeah.
But anyway, let's
let's
move on. Let me see. Is there any that I want to comment on? Rodrygo, my favorite attacker on Real Madrid, has similar stats to Gabriel Martinelli. So again, if you're expecting Rodrygo to come in and score 30 goals, I think he scored 5 last season in the league. This season that just ended. Maybe 4 assists. I think his G+A did not hit double digits. So again,
people don't watch football like you and
you're
I.
Right. That's true.
All they look at is they look at YouTube highlights. And like our good friend Enro will say, even Yaya Sanogo look like a world-class footballer
on
his YouTube highlights. Even me, if you see my YouTube highlights, you say, that guy, Savi Bola.
He can play.
He can play. Do you understand? People don't watch games. I'm not saying Martinelli or Rodrygo is not as good as Martinelli. That's not what we're saying. But that gap that you believe is like this.
It's not.
Is
yeah. And Yinka, if they don't believe this, think about this.
Brazilian national team.
A big team. Brazilian national team won. Big team finished 17th. Big team finished 15th. Right? You're clowning one team for coming second 3 times. This guy was a big part.
Yep.
He started every game he was not injured or whatever for. So if that doesn't tell you he's good, and this is on a team that doesn't have an out-and-out striker. So there are things he's doing that you're not seeing. It might be the best.
It's still finished.
Yeah, that's it. They don't appreciate it.
And he doesn't look up. He dribbles and he looks at the floor.
But he dribbles.
I'm like, okay.
But he dribbles.
I've heard. By the time Rodrygo comes and he tries to do a leg over and you'll be like, okay. They don't know what's going on, Aki. People don't watch games. They don't.
What did Henry say? Henry looked at Jamie Carragher and he said, Jamie stopped me more times than I dribbled past him. But everybody talks about when I dribbled past him. The best wingers in the world. I looked this up. The best take-on percentage in La Liga when I was doing my team of the season, I believe was Lamine Yamal at 52%.
Yep. The average is in his 20s and 30%. Successful take-ons for wingers. The average is 20%, 15%.
But you have to keep doing it. You have to keep doing the take-ons. You have to.
That's one out of every 10. That's 1 out of every 10 or 2 out of every 10. But it's those two that will end up on YouTube. You now see the two being, this is how this guy is every freaking day. Every freaking minute. He's like this. No, he's not. No, he's not. Anyway.
Yeah. So, anyway. Okay. Yinka, are we done with transfer rumors?
We're done with transfer rumors. Yep.
All right. Let's quickly, I'm doing a quick time check. Let's quickly go to our NBA playoff update. I'm very sad to announce that the Knicks are out. They did not make the NBA Finals. They lost in 6 games to the Indiana Pacers.
God killers.
And then, what'd you say?
I said they are the God killers, the Pacers.
Yeah, they're done. And then in the West, the OKC Thunder beat up on, was it the Wolves that they beat up on? Wolves beat up on in the conference finals. So we've already had one game 1 of the NBA Finals, and the Pacers led for 0.3 seconds.
Yes,
and won.
0.3.
Tyrese Halliburton did it again. 0.3 seconds to go. That was their first and only lead of the game. And they stole it. With 9 minutes and 42 seconds to go, they were down 15. Or 14. 15. Something like that. Yeah.
I can't remember. Double digits still.
With just under 10 minutes to go. And I can't even say OKC melted down. Unlike other times that Halliburton has done that. They kept scoring. The Pacers just scored at a better and faster rate. And then I looked at that sequence again. I'm not gonna say the defense was perfect, but it was just better offense. That's what I was watching with Mr. X, remember?
Yeah.
And he was like, sometimes better offense.
Akin, OKC had better not lose this series.
They won't. No, I'm very confident. You know why I'm confident? Because of what they did to Denver. I keep coming back to it. It's because of what they did to Denver. This is a college team, Yinka. They don't get too high or too, that's not who they are.
It's like they're looking in the mirror. It's like they're looking in the mirror as they're playing the Pacers right now. It's the same college team that's on the other side, and they have a star player or superstar player who people have failed to anoint as a superstar, and he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. You can't be playing. You can't. Tyrese Halliburton, his turnover assist ratio is the highest I've seen in recent times. This guy is going through a whole game, going through multiple games without a turnover in playoff basketball.
I agree with all that. I agree with all that.
I'm worried for OKC, but
I'm not.
Since my last whatever, let me just, because I chopped, you told me OKC we're going to beat Wolves, so I'll just take my L right now and just chill and defer to you. I'm serious, I'll defer to you.
No,
they are better not lose this series, so.
What was your prediction for the final? OKC in how many games was your prediction?
OKC in 6. I think that's what I said.
Okay, me too.
OKC in 6.
Me too. And to be perfectly honest, I thought it could be 5. I didn't want to say 5, but I thought it could be 5. Now that the Pacers have won 1, it will be tough to lose 4 straight, but it could happen. It could happen, right? It could happen.
I'll text you tomorrow morning after this game. That is happening.
So
they had better win this game too.
No, but Yinka, what would happen? So for me, when I'm thinking about this, right? I'm like, when I thought they might be in trouble, to be honest, and ESPN has really, 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 really bad coverage in the studio. The halftime show was terrible. They were just going at the Pacers. I'm like, it's only 12 points. What are you doing? I'm like, it's 12 points at halftime. And then 24 minutes later, they're like, the greatest thing ever. I'm like, you just said these people were dead. What are we doing?
It's because they hate the fact that they knocked out the Knicks. That's it.
Okay, fine. Fine. Don't bring the Knicks into this. We don't need the strays right now. But for me, right, honestly, when I think about it, I'm like, when I was a little worried was when Dort was the only other Thunder in double digits by the third quarter.
Yeah.
Outside of SGA. I was like, ooh, where's Jalen Williams? This is not good. So that's something they need to pick up, because SGA ended up with his usual quiet 38.
Non-flashy 38.
He shot well. I think it was roughly 50%, like he mostly is most times, usually is most times. So he had a good game. They couldn't stop him. But Jalen Green is going to come back. Dort needs to keep doing what he's doing. Excellent
Jalen
defense.
Williams,
shouldn't. Sorry, I said Williams the first time correctly, and then I said Green this time. Jalen Williams, right? So he needs to keep doing that. And they're deep, and they continue to be deep. So for me, but this takes nothing away from the Pacers. They're excellently coached. You're right. They're deep. And they can win. Don't get me wrong. This is not an underdog, whatever situation. Neither of them has ever been to any whatever. I think only one player has been to. Yeah.
The whole basketball world is making it seem as if it's an underdog situation.
It's narratives, bro. They need a narrative. It doesn't make sense.
They need to do better. They need to do better. I agree with the ESPN. Yeah. Horrible coverage. It's bad. Right? Come on. Put some respect on Pacers' name. They're there for a reason. They beat Cleveland. That's why they're there. They beat Cleveland. Let's call it what it is. Anyway, Aki.
Okay, Yinka. So,
yes, sir.
Do you have a donkey of the week?
Nah, it's Salah. I'm celebrating more.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Everybody gets it. Everybody gets a pass.
Thank God for your life. Thank God for your life.
Thank God for my life.
Yinka, I think we've come to the end of our episode.
Yes, we have.
Why don't you take us out?
Thank you very much, guys. We promised to do 90 minutes, but I think we ended up shooting by 10 minutes. I think that's your fault.
I'll take it.
So thank you very much, guys, for the support. The last episode we had and the junior version that we had on Children's Day got a lot of support from you guys. Really do appreciate it. Y'all said y'all wanted to see the kids more.
Yes.
We're working on that. Maybe we'll just get them. We'll have four people on screen instead of the usual two. In future episodes. But once again, guys, thank you for the support. We really do appreciate. But like Oliver Twist, we want more. And by more, we mean that you should tell more people about us, like, subscribe. If you see anything pop up across all our social media platforms, you know what to do. Give us a like, engage us, send us questions, and we'll take them on future episodes and we'll discuss them. So once again, thank you very much, guys. This is episode 66, baby steps. I remember when we started. Now we're 66 episodes in, and it's just about consistency, and we'll continue to deliver that. Thank you, guys, and we will see y'all next week. Aki.
All right, thank you, Inka. Enjoy the rest of the break. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye, people.